Hi everybody, and welcome to this CNP chat about the Chobe River in northern Botswana. I personally consider the Chobe River to be the most productive photographic destination that I've ever been to and that I've ever taken clients to. And I've been all over the world. And there's a reason for that. It is because the Chobe River gives us seasons of photography. And those seasons are determined by the level of the water. So tonight, I'm going to take you on a journey of the Chobe River in the flood season. Now that flood season varies. For the purpose of this presentation, by the end of May, that's where I will end my presentation. Veronica will take you on a journey when the river starts subsiding and the islands emerge and the type of photographic opportunities that you're going to get there. And Ilana will take you through traditional photography months when people think about photographing. August, which is still a winter month, and then September and October, it gets warmer, but also the river level drops substantially. And then the photography is completely different. So enjoy this journey with us. And I hope that you will experience and see the same thing that we experience all the time. That the Chobe is not only a river and a photographic destination for all seasons, but it always rewards us with great photography, whether we are beginners, advanced photographers, or professionals. When we park that boat for light, the opportunity that we're going to get is equal for every one of us. And I can honestly say that my next trip with clients will be my 94th on the Chobe. And there was not a single trip ever that I saw the same things or that nature didn't offer me new opportunities to photograph. And I'm talking about world-class opportunities. Opportunities that offer award-winning photography, even for absolutely rookie beginners. Enjoy the webinar.
Okay, welcome everyone. I hope everyone's doing well today, and thanks again for joining us in this very special webinar that we are hosting tonight. For those who don't know me, my name is Nico. I'm the office manager at CNP Safaris, and we would like to give a warm welcome to friends, old friends, new. And we all know that this has been a webinar that has been long in the making, and finally it's here. So tonight's webinar is specifically dedicated to the Chobe. And for those who don't know where the Chobe is located, it's right in the northern corner of Botswana on the border of the Chobe National Park, and it's adjacent to 4 countries, oddly enough. So Namibia, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Botswana. Now, for those who don't know, it's a very simple 1.5-hour flight from Johannesburg to Kasane, and then a easy 5-minute transfer to the lodge as well. And we all know that Probilo has made the statement over and over again as well. By far the most productive photographic destination that's out there. So tonight, for those, we're going to throw a bit of a curveball. So we're not going to speak about the normal seasons as B. We're specifically going to refer to the photographic seasons that has to offer. And all of these seasons are linked to the level of the Chobe River. So we're going to start with the flood season. Then we're going to go over to the second season, which is when the islands start to re-emerge again. After that, that's your low level season. And then we're going to go to the fourth season in terms of photography. That's just before the rainy seasons. Now, each one of these seasons will be hosted by one of our senior tour guides. So 2 seasons will be hosted by Low, the flood season, and then the pre-rain season. Ilana will be hosting the low level season, and Veronica will be doing the island re-emerging season. So without further ado, I'm going to start muting myself, and I'm going to hand over to Lo, who's eagerly sitting and waiting there, as I can see, to share his stories with you. And hopefully every single person you will have a fantastic evening with us.
Thanks, Nico. And hi to everybody.
Yeah, it's an honor to meet with you. Me and the team decided this is just taking a little bit too long. It's time that we have a chat with you guys again. So really looking forward to this evening. And as Nico said, what we are going to do is we're going to go through the seasons of the Chobe. Now, before I kick this off, and I will run through the image, as Nico correctly said, the photographic seasons on the Chobe River is determined by the flood level of the water. So we start off with the water that comes from Angola. So rain doesn't have a real influence on the Chobe River. It comes all the way from Angola, and the Zambezi actually, in most years, creates the Chobe River. As the flood water arrives, thousands of kilometers away, the water level then influences, it pushes into the plains, it floods the islands, and life as we used to know it a few months earlier just doesn't exist anymore. So I'm going to start by telling you what happens when that flood water arrives at the Chobe River. And normally, I would like to guess it is in a normal year, it's March, can be April, and sometimes we have a third push in May as well. So I approached what I'm going to share with you on the strict basis of March, April, May. The photographs that I'm sharing with you stops at the end of May. And just to make it interesting, I've actually selected photographs and I stopped at 2012, just to show you what the wonder is that Chobe offers, no matter what camera you own. No matter if you think that DSLR needs an upgrade, I can show you without a doubt what we were able to do, what I was able to do 10 years ago, 13, 14, 15 years ago, because that is what the Chobe actually offers us. I'm starting with this photograph for a very specific reason, and it's actually in honoring the lady next to me, Veronica. These three trees are called Veronica's jackalberries. And the simple reason for that is, for years, Veronica photographed their every mood, every morning and every day of sometimes 20 to 30 trips that we do on a year on the Chobe River. And they will forever be, the locals call them also Veronica's jackalberries, but it is the place where we end our afternoon game drive, and we go past these trees before we exit the Chobe, and after exit it's 100 meters or so, 30 seconds, and then we are at the lodge that we stay at, Chobe Safari Lodge or Chobe Marina Lodge, whatever the case is. Special part of our lives. We're starting our journey when the river is actually slowly to start subsiding. It is the beginning of islands being born. But the only guys that can actually make use of the islands at this point in time are the bull elephants. And this particular photograph was taken with a 14mm lens. And I can tell you this bull approaching is really not far away from us. And he's going to walk past us at very close range without even looking in our direction, because for some reason or the other, elephants, and in actual fact, all game, I would like to think Veronica and Ilana will agree with that. They react differently to people on a boat. It's just that we are not as much in their face, and they sometimes allow us a lot of close encounters with them in a very, very relaxed way. So here these guys are approaching, and I just love it when they do this. And the collared Pratt & Coles that is just filling the sky is just adding a little bit to the rest of this image. Okay, same story.
different elephant, same birds. So what they tend to do is they fly away, they come back, they land, and then the next elephant will come and we will disturb them all over again. And we have repeat business, a wonderful way to photograph. I selected these images from my first encounters about 15 years ago, just because, two reasons. I wanted to see, okay, so what did we photograph all these years ago? And number two, PhotoLab 6 was launched 2 days ago. And I thought, what would it be like to take 15-year-old images and just say, okay, let's give it a go in modern day software, AI software, and just see what it's capable of. And wow, what a fantastic surprise. I've got thousands of images that I've got to go and revisit. Now, the great thing about these relaxing bull elephants coming past in caravan is that sometimes there's still a little bit of water left. And then they just give you the opportunity to, with a 14mm full frame lens, to actually, this is the full frame. So they are very close to me and they are very relaxed, and it's just a wonderful opportunity to photograph. So one of the first things that happen when the floods come or is that the only guys, or that they're just subsiding, the only people that can, the only animals that can possibly venture close by is the elephants, and other elephants, and particularly the bulls. And what I really enjoy photographing from the boat is the worm's eye view that we get. And people don't realize that. I see it all over the place, that people tend to, when they go on safari, when they drive in a vehicle, they tend to rush up to their subject they want to photograph as close as possible. And then they lie down on their tummies because they want the eye level, or the worm's eye level shot. That's not the way to do it, because you're creating an enormous amount of depth of field problems. Use a long lens. Just go further away. And you have got, this is taken with an 800mm 5.6 lens, 400 2x converter. It's virtually eye level, because I have given, and now I've given this elephant space. He's checking me out, but I've given him space, but I've got a nice eye level view of the elephant. And this is just in his face, close to me, and just grazing. That's the intimate experience that these bull elephants give us. And then the cows will arrive. And before they actually start crossing, when they arrive, March, April, May, there are always new calves, very young calves. Actually, calves that for the first time in their lives experience water. It's a lot of fun. And we intend doing more of this. So we will go into this. Suffice to say that the calves gives us extraordinary opportunities to photograph. And once again, now the cows are arriving very low eye level. And interestingly, I try and photograph these that I'm just above the background. If you go down to low, you've got all the messy background and all the trees in the back. So just before the riverbank starts, that is where I cut this my compositions off. Then I've got a complete clean background, clean foreground, clean background. That's got to be photographic nirvana. And now Mama is just checking this little one here, a little bit of interaction, so small, but within 2-3 months they will start crossing the river. Now come on. I just told somebody on a mentorship program before I started, you know, cuteness is one of the pitfalls of writing a photographic image. But here I think this cuteness is actually contributing a little bit. It tells a story. But once again, I'm at eye level with this calf, and I'm actually shooting an 800 or 600 whatever millimeter lens. And I am shooting with a camera that's 15 years old by now. And look at that. That's what AI noise reduction can do today. Zip noise, beautiful, pin sharp image, fantastic. you get this abundance of opportunities, relentless action. If it's not the elephants doing something, then a quiet kingfisher will come and dive in right in front of you. The flood season is also the time of my favorite species on earth, the African jacanas. Now, African jacanas are special for two reasons. One, they are polyandrous, which basically means it is 7 males approximately, Robert says, to 1 female. So the female, they mate, she lays the eggs, and then she's off and finds another guy. And the male, which is the smaller one of the species, they look actually the same. He will hatch the chicks, and he will take care of them. And this is the father carrying 2 chicks under wing, and on this, you actually only one, his legs are actually sticking out. But they are precocial as well. And what precocial basically means is that they fend for themselves from day one. Now that has got to be utter magic in anybody's book. And to be able to do that, they are born with these enormous feet that they can actually go from one water lily to the other. But to see a one-day-old jacana chick standing next to his dad and taking a little fish or an insect for himself is just something incredibly special. Swimming from the one area of water lily leaves to the other is dangerous. Crocs take them, catfish take them. There's such a lot of things that can take them. But the adrenaline rush that I get when these guys actually venture into that water is just incredible. And when they get out onto the other side, and this is how they do it, they just go from the one leaf to the other one, and they take care of themselves. This is the male. I just thought I would just give you a shot of the male. They are incredibly fond of water lily flowers. They will sell their souls for a water lily flower. Now, this is what I truly enjoy about photographing the Chobe, is the blue you see is the blue sky's reflection in this water. Now, I say to people think that if you've got a reflection, it's always a big contributing factor. It's actually not for me. This is a very broken reflection, so it is not as good as it can be. But sometimes, in an image that I will show you now, it becomes a surrealistic image. Now, this is a photograph, and I'm enjoying this immensely. And by the way, if you see the stars at the bottom, this was my rating of this image 15 years ago. I will not rate this image a 5 anymore. But the point why I'm using this image is this was not a usable image. I could not edit this image 15 years ago. And my goodness, this is just enormous. Just look at the fine detail in every little, wherever you look, just extraordinary. And in that regard, just so a tip from my side, or a remark from my side. I know that I'm pushing my current camera a little bit beyond its limits. Sometimes I'm satisfied with the results. And can I tell you something that I came from photographing carmine bee eaters with Ilana. And I came back, what was this? Ilana, it was a week ago, a little bit more than a week ago. And there were a few images that I could not get enough detail in the area that I applied the noise reduction. And you know what? 3 days ago, Photolab 6 was launched, and this one was edited in there, and I got the details back. So push that camera. Tomorrow's software and 5 years software from now is going to actually assist you to edit images that were taken 5 years ago. Look at that enormous feed. Now, this is an all-time favorite of mine. And here, this sort of abstract image at the bottom, actually, the reflection, this just works beautifully for me. And once again, beautiful, clean background. So the jacanas, for what they are. And every time I see what they do, and they are more active this season, March, April, May, before the elephants and the hippos destroy the water lily leaf stretches that there are, and obviously that the water dries up. Just look at this. Just wanted to show this to you. Isn't that incredible? And once again, the fine detail that I have here, I always pay a lot of attention to editing. I just couldn't manage that. Just couldn't, and that's not sharpening. This is a shot that was virtually impossible to edit before. And yeah, I think I can do better on this. But this is a shot of Veronica. And what you will see there, that's the baby, a little banded mongoose baby. And this is a fish eagle. It's crazy. But that's what happened in the flood season. Fish eagles do not find fish to catch in the flood season. And now they do this kind of thing. And they take mongooses, they take all sorts of things. And here, I mean, that guy is screaming his lungs out because he knows what's going to happen to him. Exciting times, different times on the river. Not a lot of mammals there. Bull elephants are coming through, but the birds are flourishing. And there are lots of inter-Africa migratory birds. Because of the flood, another species that struggles to actually keep up and have their normal sort of sustenance and the normal food are crocodiles. And specifically the young crocodiles turn their attention to different things. So I say to the guys when we photograph the Masai Mara, okay, so you want a photograph of a croc taking white-bearded wildebeest, or you want a photograph of a croc taking a zebra, but do you have a photograph of a 6-inch crocodile that has taken a dung beetle? That is the magic of the Chobe. And then he struggles back through that wake, and then he crunches it and has his meal. That's magic. This is photographic magic for me, and I will treasure this. I mean, 100 photographs of a croc on the Masai Mara taking a wildebeest cannot replace this kind of thing for me. Towards the end of the year, this particular photograph comes from November. What I wanted to show you is how these little fish fight back on this croc actually taking him. And you will see that he's got sort of a pen on his back, and that's stuck right into the mouth, into the upper mouth of it. There, firstly, he crushes it. These two images actually have to be the other way around. Well, crocodiles love pythons. Oh my goodness, I've seen it on the in Masai Mara, where I actually saw a python drop out of a tree, and the crocs just came rushing over from everywhere. Now, we were fortunate enough with this guy that he took it, it was still intact, and we could get the shot. Now, I want you to look at this for a moment, because this is what's happening to me more and more. Can you see what's actually happening here? This is a little tiger fish that was taken by a croc. You can actually see on his right-hand side that the body has been punctured. But this little fellow decides to fight back. And look at that. He's grabbed the croc, who doesn't have a tongue, at the back of the throat. And he is biting the hell out of this croc. Now, me and Nico and Dirk van den Berg looked at this croc there with crocodile eyes for about 15-20 minutes, that he could not get rid of this little tiger fish, which was not going to give up his life for nothing. And eventually, the croc started working him sideways and crushed him. But that is what makes Chobe special for me and allows me to do things that were not possible before. I've just included a few photographs here. Veronica will share with you, is to show this was taken with a 1000mm lens, 500 2x converter, 15 years ago. We could do it with the DSLRs. The gear is in your camera bag is good enough for the Chobe. That time of the year is also the the time of the pygmy geese. They remind me a lot of the puffins that I photograph in Alaska. They're built the same way. They fly low over the water. They've got the same sort of flight pattern, but they're very skittish. And then, yeah, here's an inter-Africa migratory bird. Rare, but there I could nail it in flight. And this is 15 years ago. So Chobe is waiting for you. I really had an abundance of this kind of shots. Mabula Lodge now recently on the Zambezi River. But this was taken nearly 15 years ago. And I wanted to share it with you because I still think I enjoy the shot. And yeah, it edited well. Interesting experience. These gulls just dipped into the water and they just took some earthworms. Everything on that river hates fish eagles, no matter what the species, because they either eat them, they eat their chicks or whatever. Now, this shot I'm sharing with you and passing on the birds is simply because that is out of camera. There was this little spot of golden light that was sitting there, and the rest were black clouds. And I had to wait and I had to position myself for this moment, and it came. The rainy season is also a time that we really get close up with predators. And this lioness, although she was stuffed beyond walking, just didn't want to give up on the elephant that they have, that they killed the previous day or 2 days previously. Because of the shallow channels, all sorts of species cross these channels and gives you wonderful opportunities. It's got to be one of my favorite crossings ever. You will later in this presentation see some stunning crossing shots, buffalo crossing shots from Ilana. It's the only crossing that I ever witnessed that was done in total silence. There was not, they just got into the water and they glided from the one island to the other one just to make sure the water level was high. They had to swim, and you can see the eye connection here. That is what makes the high flood season special for me. You get very close to the riverbanks, which later is going to disappear. The normal mammals are there. The hippopods are starting to arrive. And calves, you get to experience calves. Now, the one thing about photographing the Chobe River from the waterside view and not the landside view is that you get this incredible opportunity to manage light. Now, come on, this is incredible. This is a hippo mouth, and I honestly have light. I didn't even have to bring, I had a little bit of shadow at the back. Now, it's over to my dear wife, Veronica, now, and she will talk to you about what happens and what we experience when the islands are born. And now everything has moved. The buffaloes have moved to Sedudu Island, and the waterbuck have moved. And now we're going into a total new phase. And she can tell you a little bit more about that. So, Veronica, over to you.
Hello, everyone. And I really enjoy sharing our beautiful Chobe with you, all of you, and the photos that we take there. And for me, there's no doubt we've been to many places, but the Chobe River will always be the one place absolutely closest to my heart. So let me show you. So as Lo said, by June, July, the islands are really coming out and the opportunities change completely. And it's an interesting time. You do find a lot of hippo with small babies, which gives fantastic opportunities. And we can still get very close to them because the channels are still quite deep. And that's really wonderful opportunities to photograph. You will see I've got a lot of them. Interesting interaction between the mums and the babies, and between the different hippo pods all over the river. They're very territorial. We try and really keep our distance because when they have the little ones, They don't want us too close to them. But as Lau also mentioned, because we're working with long lenses, it actually really looks like we are in the water with these two. One of my favorite hippo photos. And this is a tiny, tiny little baby. It is just such a privilege to witness them. So this is the June, July period of the river. Look at that cute little face. Lau's cuteness. Again, about the reflection in the water. What is interesting about the river, I think it's most of the water photographs. When the water breaks, you see the different reflections of the trees, the surrounding trees, the sky above, and it creates beautiful patterns. And that is something that I really enjoy taking. So this is an interesting close-up for me. And then you do get these guys that really don't want us there in the water. We, as I say, we do keep our distance, but as we slowly pass them, they will come out like this. And I'm always ready. If we know there's a hippo somewhere in the water and we pass them, to keep my camera turned, even though we're passing them, in their direction, and try and see where the bubbles are, that the moment that they do this, that I'm ready for them. So that is something one can actually teach yourself, to be prepared to take these photographs, because this happens in a split second. And I talked about them being very territorial. You do get quite nasty hippo fights. I've just been to the river recently and we saw a severe hippo fight. That is quite something to witness. There's another one of those. You can see there actually in the mouth that this one was injured, and it makes very dramatic photographs. Another one. And this is a little bit different. I really like the backlit of this splash of water. So you get a bit of a different view of the as the islands are getting out and the water gets lower in this image. What I really love about photographing elephants this time of year is the winter light. It is quite cool in the mornings on the river and in the afternoons when the sun goes down, but we get this incredible, soft, beautiful golden light. So that makes the winter months really special, especially on the elephants. This type of photograph you can almost get every day. Buffaloes are also really different in this light. If you photograph them in the harsh light, you just get this black blob and you don't really see the detail. But in this soft winter light, it's really special. This is another one of my really favorite images. This is straight out of camera. Again, we were close to a riverbank, quite far down the river, almost towards Selondela. And this little croc, every time he breaks the water, you see this beautiful gold reflection in the blue from the trees and the grass and the water and the sky. And it really makes incredible photographs. And we can still get close enough to the water's edge, to the bank. And then that gives one opportunities to photograph other predators. And I will never forget this moment. I was with a group and we were photographing Jacana, and then I said to them, I think this is enough of Jacana, let's go photograph the leopard. And I thought, which leopard? And as we were cruising down the river, I saw this leopard in this tree. So that was a magical moment. Another one of the crocs and the action makes this river really special. I absolutely love photographing birds. I once was with people on the river, and the one person mentioned to me that they don't really see facial expressions in animals and birds. And then from that moment on, every photograph I took, I sat next to him and I tried to show him that, you know, they do have facial expressions. And I mean, in this photograph, you can actually really see that. And in that time of year, you do get a lot of bird activity. They are renovating their nests. You see a lot of these flybys with nest building material, which makes really interesting photographs as well. Here's a hammerkop doing the same. And just another one, my favorite images, more hammerkop. But I want to tell you about something that we have a tiny little window in this period of time, in this season, where we can photograph something different. And we don't always go there because it is such a short time that we can actually make use of this opportunity. And that is not to go into the park, but to the opposite side. We go down the river towards where it will go into the Zambezi. And there's a section of rocks, we call it the rapids. And when you're there, if you can imagine Heathrow Airport, when we park there, and the reason we have such a short period is after the flood, when the water gets to a very specific level, we can get into the rapids with the boat without getting stuck in the rocks. And then just like a week or two later, it's not possible for us to get in there anymore. But when you park there, you will see, and I want to say hundreds of thousands of birds flying in. You don't know where to look. You don't know where to photograph. It is quite an overwhelming sense of wonder. All these birds come there. There's lots of trees, not that many, but all these birds roost there for the night. And it is absolutely everything you can think of. And they fly in with little branches and things to just renovate their nests a bit. So they will come in from all directions and non-stop. You don't know where to look. It is just such an incredible experience. And now I want to show you a little video. This is an interesting little thing that happened. Because there's so many birds and not enough place to land, this spoonbill miscalculated his landing and actually landed right on top of this poor reed cormorant. I wonder if I can play that again for you, just to see it again. Let's see if I can do that. So just let him come in, saw that spot, and absolutely flattened him. But he managed to get out. That is a wonderful opportunity to be there and to witness all of this. This is typical what happens there, but in 100-fold, all at the same time. It's an incredible experience. And I think here it's over to Ilona. Let me see if I can move on to her image. Thanks, Ilona.
Hi everyone, my name is Ilona, and just a short intro for those of you that don't know me. I started 10 years ago as a client of C&P Safaris. And my very first trip was on the Chobe River. And with Lo, I took a photo of a fish eagle that absolutely got me totally hooked on photography. And so for the past couple of years, I've I had the privilege of being a host guide for C&P Safaris. So I'm going to share with you photos that I've taken on the Chobe. It definitely counts as my favorite destination in Southern Africa for obvious reasons. And so let's see. Interesting fact about the Chobe River, I don't know if you know this, it's a very unique river in that it flows in opposite directions. So as Lo explained to you, at the beginning of the year, there's a lot of rain that happens inland in Angola and Zambia. So this results in the levels of the Chobe River rising. So all the floodplain literally gets flooded. And so the river will flow in the direction of Vic Falls, going down to the coast. But the interesting thing is, in July, August, the direction of the river reverses. So now the floodplains dry out, and this is now where the islands form, and the channels that are being accessible in the beginning of the year, where you can get very close to the tree line. And so it changes the Chobe, the banks of the Chobe River completely. Now the African skimmers are inter-African migrants, which means in summertime, when the levels are high, they will migrate to the north of Africa. And then in August, September, even starting in July, you'll find them migrating to the southern part of Africa. Now, currently, their numbers are threatened, which means that their chances of survival in the wild, not becoming extinct, is very, very problematic. It was wonderful to see. I was there a couple of weeks ago to see that the numbers are thriving. There are chicks, they are raising these chicks, but they are resilient birds, because where they nest and where they breed are normally on these little sand islands. And so it's not only, I'll show you a little bit later, crossings that they have to encounter, it's also birds of prey. So skimmers, you'll see they have this lower mandible, which is built for a specific reason. So when they skim in the water, the lower mandible will skim the water, and I'm sure all of you have seen photos of this before. It will skim the water, and as soon as it feels a fish, the mouth will shut, and then they catch the fish that way. So very unique, special, beautiful birds. And as you can see, it's not just bird of prey or elephants or buffalo crossing islands. It's also the territorial fights among themselves. So they are, they cause for a lot of action. They are quick, they are fast. And so in terms of your own skill, they really push you to the next limit. That is an example of what I was referring to. This is a yellow-billed kite. And what's interesting, we were sitting at an island, and on this island were young chicks and the adults. They will be coming in and out all the time. The adults will go out, find some fish, come back, feed the chicks. As soon as you see all the skimmers taking off, I can guarantee you, if you look up, you'll see a bird of prey. It's either yellow-billed kite or it's a fish eagle flying over the island. But chicks, adults, everyone's in the air, and they will attack these bird of prey to make sure that they have their island safe. This is a skimmer taking a bath. Beautiful. It is just, I love this image. This is just gorgeous to watch them take a bath like this. The water, the droplets, the color, it's just gorgeous. So this was one afternoon, sun was setting. And so obviously our light was going. And now, how do you shoot these gorgeous birds skimming? And this is an example of what I refer to, the lower mandible skimming the water. And this is how they catch their fish. This is very nice. I thought this is just a different take when you have to, when there's no light, shoot it differently. So here's an example of the islands that's being formed now. And I wish I could show you now, but the herd that you see on the right side, just to the right of them or just behind them, that's a skimmer island. So what will often happen is these herd of elephant will just cross over these little channels, which by now is very shallow, as you can see. They'll just trot over the skimmer island with no regard for eggs, chicks, whatever. They'll just cross the island. And the interesting thing is, you would think the skimmers will now find a different place to nest. No, you go there a year later, and that's their island. That's where they will breed and nest. But this is wonderful. This is low level floods now, or water levels in the Chobe, and you'll find these herd of elephant. The Chobe River is their lifeline, and estimated now is around about 200,000 elephant in Botswana. And so when there's no water inland, this is where they would come to graze, to feed, to cross the river, to play. I think the photo in this image, what you see here, is explaining it. I'm sure Lo and Veronica can agree with me. You stop here, you park the boat, and as far as your eye can see, it's elephant everywhere. So this is a crossing. So they would cross the river. It's obviously not that deep now, but it makes for stunning photos. This was also shot with a wide angle lens. This is how close we were to the elephants just crossing. I think I have one photo where I had literally droplets of water on my lens that was all over the photo. It is just stunning to see these animals cross like this. Their behavior, they are extremely intelligent and emotional mammals. And just to see them operate like this on the river is amazing. Once again, mom with her baby crossing the shallow channel. This was at Elephant Valley. Elephant Valley derives its name exactly from what you see here. Elephants will come in the afternoons or early mornings, in literally sometimes in their hundreds. And the communication between these elephant herds are impressive, because as the one herd, sometimes there are more than one, will drink water. Another herd will wait just up their little hill and in silence. And it's like the matriarch of the herds will say, like, 1, 2, 3, go. The one herd will move out and another herd will move in. And sometimes you'll sit there at Elephant Valley and this can go on for literally hours. This is a different take on an elephant shot, because what happens here is the water level drops. So you have a bank of about 2 to 3 meters that forms because of the low water level. And these elephants come up right to the edge. And so you have this very clean background, which just makes for a different photo. Low referred to the buffalo crossings. Low level is a little bit different from when the water levels are high, because when these buffalo come there in big herds, sometimes if you are lucky, you will see as much as 1,000 of these buffalo arriving on the Chobe River banks. This is now in dry season. When the herds move inland, there's more water, but as soon as it dries out, they come to the Chobe River banks. Now, they're big herds and they have young with them. So when they cross, they do this like very quickly. They will rush into the water and they'll cross. And you can see they are very tentative towards us. They know exactly where we are, what we're doing, because they're checking us out, making sure that they are safe. These are red-billed ox peckers. You'll find them often on not just buffalo, but also on hippo or even impala. This was just very nice. This buffalo was walking right on the riverbank, on the edge, close to us, with these oxpeckers just having a great feed on them. Once again, as you will see, they'll rush in, buffaloes rush in, rush out. It's quick. We sat at a crossing a couple of weeks ago. It really happened quickly. There was a croc lying around waiting for an opportunity, lots of calves. So when they go, they just want to finish the business, get in, get out. Little small channel, interesting fact is there's a channel at Sududu Island, and the buffalo will either be on the left of the channel or on the right. There's also a herd of a waterbuck that you will always find on one or other side. And the waterbuck are opportunist in the sense that they also sometimes would like to cross the channel, but they will rarely do so on their own. So they will wait for an opportune moment for the buffalo to cross. The reason for that is as the buffalo crosses, they'll chase off the crocodiles lying in wait. And then the waterbuck will see this as an opportunity to cross safely as well. Still on my bucket list to get a waterbuck crossing, but that's why we have to go back. This is just another take on the images you can find on the Chobe. Just one late afternoon, the sun is setting, and there it was. Okay, so baboons. They entertain us. That it's something special to see baboons on the Chobe River, not just the Chobe, I would guess, anywhere in Africa. I don't know if it's because they remind us of ourselves, or whether it's just entertaining to watch them, but there's something about baboons that fascinates me. And I always tell my clients, you know, we see baboons, but to take a good baboon image is not that easy, because you cut tails, the backgrounds are busy, or you don't see when there's interaction between two baboons, you don't often see both faces, the eyes, the teeth. So yeah, when you get good baboon photos, it's worth the while. And it's very nice to just sit there and watch them, because as you can see, they make for very, very interesting and funny photos. So I'm going to share with you now just a couple of images, which has been through the years some of my favorites, and just because I like when I shot them, and you get into your room and you download and you look at it, it just gives you a great feeling. And now, just to get back to the rating system that Lo referred to, this really changed my photography in the way, in a big sense, that I can look at my photos and go like, yes, in terms of the rating system, I'm growing as a photographer. And you see and look differently at things when you have the rating system in mind. This was very special. We do see lion on the Chobe River banks, but to get them in the open like this, and this was on Puku Flats one morning, to get them in the open with cubs was like one of the most special moments I've had on the Chobe River. Crocodiles, right through the year, they are busy. This, if you look at this image, this is quite something. These crocodiles were operating up and down the river this one afternoon, and it was, you take the image, but you can't really see what they were doing. You see them feeding and having a frenzy. So when you get back in your room and you download your photos and you look at the little fish, and this is what they do. They'll just operate up and down the river, get a mouthful of mud, slap it around, and there it is. That's the catch. Very special this, and it happened so quickly. We were photographing something completely different. Out of nowhere, this fish eagle went for the daughter. I often have people ask me, okay, so what happened to the daughter? No, it got away, although I think it lost a couple of tail feathers. And so here's where the settings that I've learned from CNP and the way they shoot came in very handy, because shutter speed, shutter speed, shutter speed. If I didn't have it that day, then this wouldn't have gone down. And the same in this instance, malachite kingfisher, very special, unique little birds. Everyone have big smiles on their faces when they have a photo of a malachite on the Chobe River. And this, I have to say, I've been going to the Chobe now for 10 years. I've never seen pelicans there. I think, Veronica, have you seen them before? I'm not sure.
I've been to the Chobe River for the past 30 years, and I've seen pelicans there twice.
There we go. And so we were spoiled with this sighting. I think on our very last morning, this definitely it's very special. As you can see, I've not been to the Chobe that often, but look at the diversity. This is just a magical, magical place. This is, I think, my last photo, if I remember correctly. This fish eagle, literally, it took us hours for this photos, because what happened was it's at Elephant Valley. So what will happen is there's a lot of activity with boats in the afternoons, people going on boat drives. And so this fish eagle was standing on the riverbank. So it will give like 2 steps, stop, turn around, and then we wait. 2 steps, stop, turn around, and that's how we waited. And I think I literally said, okay, come on, fish eagle, we have 2 minutes, then we have to go. It went into the water and took this bath, and it was just amazing, golden sunset light, and this was just magnificent. It was stunning.
Thanks, Lana. So that is then our introduction to you to the Chobe River, and we hope that you enjoyed it. I've got actually just 2 images here that I want to share with you, because what is the month that we sort of say, all right, so here our calendar ends. That month is normally for us November, and it is simply because it starts to rain then. Now, I scrolled through a lot of old images. I think this is November 2011, and taken with a D3S 12 million pixel camera. And I looked at those images today and I thought, my goodness, if I show you this image, there are images of 2, 3 fish eagles attacking each other, marabou storks, and why on earth would they do that? And I decided just to include one image here, just to entice you and to show you, this is just incredible. So what happens that this is juvenile on the right-hand side and an adult on the left-hand side. So it's not mom or dad kicking the youngster out of bed or out of home. When the river starts subsiding, a lot of catfish are caught up in the mud and they go into hibernation. And when the first heavy rains fell in November, then these big catfish are actually caught up in that mud. And then it's a free for all. I think at this one stage we counted 10 fish eagles getting involved, marabou storks getting involved, juveniles, adults going, fish eagles going at adults, juveniles going at adults. But the marabou is bullied by none. It's the boss of them all. And I just decided I'm going to share this image with you, as apart from the relentless bird action, which we actually haven't touched on, there are 2 things for me that stands out. It's this behavior that I've only been able to photograph in November. At this point in time, we talk about seasons. We cannot say it's November anymore, simply because of the way rain patterns are changing and flood patterns are changing. We know that if the flood water arrives on the Chobe, this is what's going to happen. But we are not 100% sure anymore when it's going to arrive. And we know when the first heavy rain falls, this is what's going to happen. And then there's another thing that stands out for me in November, and that is the brutal hippo fights. Now, what is happening here, and I'm only showing you one photograph, is this bull on the left-hand side. These are 2 cows. The calf is standing at the back. He wanted to kill the bull calf. And these 2 cows were not going to have it. And I looked at those images today and I thought, wow, now, got to do something with this. And
so again, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. Really appreciate it. But please go and like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks everyone. Have a good evening.